song and with the songs that we did at the beginning to start giving you a little feel of what it was to participate with us. And just think of 27 of us, and then we taught the kids these songs, and the songs talking about, you know, when they would say the prettiest faces you had ever seen, and seeing the kids and the motions, it really all came into perspective that we are here to serve them, and they are such beautiful people. So, I thought what we would do is kind of give you a summary, kind of take you on the trip with us, if we could, and kind of show you what we did on a day-to-day basis and how it kind of goes from looking out a window and thinking, you know, here we've had these meetings and we've come up with these theme songs, but yet there's still so many questions in your mind. And as, at least myself, when a mission trip starts and you're doing something out of the country, you're usually taking a plane ride, you find yourself looking out the window. And you start thinking, who am I going to meet? Will what I do really make an impact? Will I come back changed? How will God use me on this trip? These are some of the things that I start thinking about as I'm looking out the window. And here's Daniel. I don't know who took the shot. Did Veronica, you take this shot? I love this shot. I have a bazillion pictures of plane windows with scenery out the windows, but to have Daniel there looking out the window, I was trying to, reach into your head. I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm sure that maybe some of these thoughts crossed your mind as you were leaving and thinking about what we were going to do there and how you would be an impact to these people. Once we got there, we have worship, and worship is a very important part of these trips because as we would share every worship, we are not there, we are there to serve others, but in serving others, we gain a blessing as well. So every day we would pray with different individuals every morning, every evening, and in my prayer, I would always pray that we would be able to bless someone and in return be blessed. And so we would sing, we would go over some of the itinerary of the day, and then go out into our activities. Sabbath, we got there on a Friday, and then Sabbath was our first full day there. And so even though it was Sabbath, we hit the ground running. We started at the Centerville Adventist Church there on the island of Nassau, or Nassau. I always say it wrong, so sorry. But we had full church service there. And we took Bruce and Dorothy, which are associate pastor and wife at our church, and they do counseling. And so they did a family life. We did a family life Sabbath. And so we had the singing, and we had the sermon, we had the special music, children's story, and we had a full day's activities. And even in the evening, we did another family life session for their Vespers. Between church and sundown Vespers, the people were very eager to show us their island and the beauty that surrounded us. So they had someone come, donated his time, donated his bus, and they took us on a tour around the island, and it's what you would imagine, going to the Bahamas. Blue sky, blue waters, palm trees. I don't think anyone was disappointed, and they're very proud of where they live and their island and their independence. And we kept telling them, we need to be back by 5 o'clock to start our meeting, no problem. But we got there 6 o'clock, but hey, the audience, no problem, we're glad you're here. So very, very accepting of us, and they were eager to work with us and to hear what we had to share. Sunday, we like to do fun things with our group. I like to do it near the end of the trip after we've worked for it, but it all depends on where the days fall and what we're trying to do on our trips, and so Sunday was a little bit of a relaxing time for us and for us to regroup for the full week ahead of us. So we got to know our surroundings a little more. They have a market there, and some of the girls smiling, enjoying the market. And you see this cruise ship behind us, and people say, oh, Bahamas, cruise ship, money, Atlantis. Why do they need mission people? But what we found when we were there, and what is very obvious, and like I mentioned, we were there to work with the Haitian population. And the island is very divided between the Bahamians and the Haitians. And the Bahamians don't live lavish lives either. I mean, they cater to the tourist. A lot, I think what they say, it was big percentage of those that work in the tourist industry, serving at the hotels and things like that. But they make very little money. I mean, the big money goes to the people that own the hotels that don't even belong to the Bahamas. And so you have the Bahamians, which are not super wealthy people, and then you have the Haitians, which are even looked lower than that, below even the Bahamians, and there's a lot of tension there. There's a lot of hate, a lot of discrimination, and so that's the people that we were there to help. Sunday, we were still enjoying our day. The conference gave us a little tip. They said, if you go over to the aquarium after 7:30 on Sunday, it's free. Well, our ears perked up, so we were able to go through there and see some of the God's nature. Monday is work day. So we get up Monday morning, and the first stop was at the conference office. And these trips that we do, it's not just us going out and coming back and then everything going back the way it was. We make sure that we partner with people. Partnerships are very important. We go to Africa, we partner with Reach International. What was the other ones? When we were in Brazil, partnering with the church, partnering with the conference there, and the same in the Bahamas. If we did not feel that we had a strong partnership with the South Bahamas Conference, it wouldn't have worked. But it was them working with us as short-term missionaries, them with the long-term vision, along with the congregation. These are the things that make mission trips work, and especially short-term missions. So they had a prayer for us, and said they were very thankful that we were willing to come and to take our time and help their community. Bruce and Dorothy that came with us, they went over to the Living Faith Church, and they did counseling all week long. And you can imagine in very poor situations, a lot of people, mothers without husbands and lots of kids and financial stresses. There are a lot of mental and physical needs, and so Bruce and Dorothy was working on some of the mental needs, and they had a lot of people that they were working full-time. We'd drop them off in the morning, and we would see them in the evening, and they'd tell us about their full day. And even when we were having fun on Sunday, and they were booked and they were willing to take their time and meet with these needy people. Monday, after we dropped off Haywards, we prayed with the conference. This is the Ebenezer Church that we were working with. They've been meeting in that tent. As you saw at the beginning, Beatrice and I were standing there just in some rocks, and we were praying about it and working with the conference, and they had gotten this far, and then we are a part of continuing that project, so we have some inside stuff to do. We're putting steps on the front, we're putting a platform on the inside, and hopefully by the time we leave, it will be suitable enough that they can start meeting in there, that it will be better than the tent that they've been meeting in for 10 years. So this is kind of a panoramic, so you can kind of see the tent and the church. And we would hold Vacation Bible School in the tent, and then we would have our work team working over in the church. And so we were all in close proximity, working with the people there in the community. This community, everywhere you turn, it looked like a junkyard. I mean, if you drove through that part of town, you would think you were driving through a junkyard. Trash everywhere, cars everywhere, of every make and model. You see there's a Rolls Royce up there that was just, sitting on the side of the road, just beat up and tires stolen off of it. Cars everywhere. Now, these people live basically in a dump. So the first thing that we got our hands in there and started doing is cleaning up. And we had barrels and barrels of trash that we were cleaning up around the place. And then here's some more of our smiling faces cleaning up on the inside. And we mixed lots of, we're the worker crew. That we have some skilled laborers that work with us and make sure we're doing it right, and anything we do won't fall down later. But it's mixing a lot of concrete. And so we were pushing around wheelbarrows of sand and mixing mud, and it's a workout. Some people I think there's a group that calls their mission trips Ultimate Workout, and it's definitely an ultimate workout. You really get sore muscles by the end if you haven't been exercising. Our Vacation Bible School team, they would collect fruits and stuff when they would go for lunch, and bring it and make fruit salads for the kids, and they put together a whole Vacation Bible School right there with music, crafts, and I can go on, but I have a very short time to share these things with you, but we could just see how God was working, how things were coming together, that He was just filling in the holes and things were just working. Tuesday, more mixing. I want you to know Alex was a hard worker. There he is. Everyone was a hard worker. But there we were, handing up concrete up the ladder, and they were stuccoing on the inside. And there's my dad. He's working on some of the electrical outlets. And everyone, if you see something that needs done, you pick up a broom, you pick up a hammer, you pick up a shovel, and you pitch in. And then also, when we weren't out mixing mud, you can see over there in the corner, Alex became our resident drummer. And so I had bought my drum, and with the Bahamas song and stuff, we had tapped to the tune, and he's really good. And we enjoyed just the music that we had and that we've gotten to share with you. And all the smiling faces. When you start seeing the smiling faces, it just all comes together. And you realize why you're doing this, bringing these young people to Christ, teaching them about Jesus, telling them stories about His love. Wednesday, kind of the same. We start getting into a routine now. We get up, we have worship, we go to our site, we start working. On this particular day, the electrician didn't show up until 11 o'clock. And so we were kind of stuck, but then once he showed up, he had never seen so many helpers in his life, I don't believe. And we actually, even though he showed up at 11, we did a full day's work. I mean, we worked double time that day. We were digging trenches for the pipes. We were covering them over. We were laying down the, I think it's vapor underneath, the vapor layer underneath the concrete, putting in the rebar. And we did a full day's work along with mixing all the mud for the platform. And every place we go, they mix mud differently. And it's really interesting. And these people mix it in such big batches, it's just mind-boggling to me. But they say, we can do it fast. And they do. And they tell us what to do, and we do it. So and that day, and by Wednesday, of course, we have a few injuries, and people start documenting them. But nothing too bad, just some scraped knees, some cut, you're dealing with rebar. And I always tell people, pray for us. I'm taking unskilled people on a construction site. Please pray. So we bring a first aid kit. Tammy came with us, and she's an ER doctor, and we're in good hands. And of course, praying with the young people, and we were initially going to just have a few hours of vacation Bible school, but the kids wanted to hang out with us all day. And so from the time we got there, 9 in the morning till 5 we left in the evening, they were there and they wanted to spend time with us. And we were very glad to have them around and to share with them. Thursday, kind of same as first, things are coming together. It's looking a little better there. We're getting in what we, always halfway through the trips, people are telling me, do you really think we're going to get everything done? And I tell them, just keep working, keep chipping away at it. It eventually gets done. And the bricks came for the steps outside, and we started doing them. And there we are, working double time, them guiding us, laying the brick, filling in the center section there, laying in some of the wire and the rebar. And of course, still working with the kids, singing with them. They loved the little books that we made for them. Tammy bought some instruments, and they were really having a good time. And they speak Creole. These kids are very smart. Speak English, speak Creole, which is kind of like French. And French and Portuguese have some similarities. So we had some Brazilians with us, and the kids were just absorbing. They wanted to learn Portuguese, and they were doing very good at it. And so they have very bright minds, even though they come from very poor homes. And then some of us found out that the little house behind the church, the ladies always wanted to do something with us, and if we were a little bit hungry, they would have something back there for us. Friday, week is almost over. This is only a 10-day mission trip, and the conference invited our little music team to do something on their Bahamas Adventist station. And so they did an interview, and we sang some songs with them. And back at camp, they were doing some more cleanup. There's lots of trash there, and the kids were cleaning up, getting ready for Sabbath, making sure the property looks very nice, better than it's ever had before. Kids are practicing, and that is the greatest thing. When I work at home, I work at home and I hear the vacuum or whatever, but when I'm working there and to hear these kids singing their hearts out, just a few feet away, just makes the work, live music. And they were just singing their hearts out. And, if I had time, there's just so little time, but we have videos of them singing, and it really lightens your heart. The conference president came by. He had been gone for the week. And then the kids helping setting up the chairs. And then the pastor came by and got us some fresh coconuts right off the tree. And some of these things are first for people. In Michigan, we don't get to pick coconuts right off the tree and cut them open. And so Daniel and Alex, they would even find some of their own trees and be pulling the coconuts off of them and sharing them with us. And that's what's neat about mission trips. Lots of first. And I remember my first mission trip, first plane ride, first time I'd seen a palm tree growing out of the ground with my own eyes when I was 14. It was, these are experiences you don't forget. A nice thing is the conference, along with some of our team, all pitched in, and they said, we want to take you out on the water. And we said, well, we don't have any money to do that. And we're here to work. We're here to help you. We're not here to, spend our money on ourselves. But they said, no, you're going. And they said, we're going to give you some money. And so we worked it out with them. And that was God sent. Because after a long, hard week of work, going on this little mini cruise and singing, it was a good way to end the week and bring in the Sabbath. Sabbath, we had a little program over at the youth conference. And then look at that. The church, I mean, it's missing a few things. It needs some windows and doors, a little paint. But now it is a place where they can worship. And so we had a ribbon cutting ceremony, and there are some of the members standing outside, and they filled the church. And this was their first church service in this church. And throughout the year, we were raising funds. There I am speaking. Any kids sleeping? I tend to do that, I'm sorry. Kids sleeping in the front row, me speaking. And then at the end of the service, we were able to raise with probably some of your help, our church help. Everywhere we went, we were sharing how we had this matching fund. And so our $5,000 that we raised, along with the matching fund from the conference, we were able to raise $10,000 that they can get their doors and their windows, along with some of their help. So making this dream, this idea, a reality. And of course, we always need a group shot at the end of the trip for people to remember, to share. It's one thing to have an experience, but then God expects you to share that experience, right? And so once we come back, we need to share. Conference, they fed us well. I don't think anyone came back any thinner than when they left. Sorry to say, some people thought that this would be a time that they could, slim down, but we fed everyone well. My theory is you can't complain when your mouth is full, all right? So we make sure we feed our people well. So we were just sharing at the end. They were thanking us, and we were thanking them. And then Sunday, a well-deserved break. And of course, you work all week, and then what gets put on people's Facebook pages? All these pictures get put on there, and people, what are you doing? You think you're really working out there? But definitely, this was well-deserved, and I'm glad that they had a chance to have some fun and get out there, enjoy God's nature in a place that they may not go back again. So we had a chance to do that, swim, boat, snorkel, and I'm really thankful for the group. And then Monday, looking out a plane window one more time and thinking, is what I'm going to do really make a difference? Who am I going to meet? Will I make friendships there? Well, these questions that we had leaving are now answered. And we are now looking down, realizing it's becoming now a memory, but realizing that we had become changed by our experience. And we start heading home. Here we are, just a beginning, just a dream, just prayer and sharing with others what God is impressing upon our heart. Here we're Olivia with an idea. We're the first grade with an idea. And we start sharing. And with God's help, He allows us to have great experiences. And when we allow ourselves to have Christ work through us, fill us with His Holy Spirit, He can do great things in our lives. So I want to challenge you today to think outside the box. Don't think about what I can do. Think about what God wants me to do. And whatever He wants you to do, He is going to give you the time, the resources, the health to do those things. That is my challenge for you today. So that's the end of my presentation. I have to end here because we have some things we got to do before the end of the service. Or is it? There's a couple more things. Bahamas is over, but Beatrice and I have committed to always have something going on. In December, we're going to be going back to Africa to help with the Hope Orphanage, and I think we might be talking about that a little bit more, my dad, when he gets up But we have all the people going with us, but there's still medical supplies and things like that that we need. And then if you are wanting to do something with us, we are also planning our India trip for December 2013, and we're starting fresh. This is the beginning of the idea. So if anyone, or you know of anyone, that wants to join us on a trip, let us know. And we'll help in facilitating that. That's what I have. I got to look on the bulletin. What's next? We have a few more things before closing prayer. I don't know. How do we want to do this?
Prayer time.
Okay. So we'll have Art do our prayer. Thank you very much.